Welcome, Roomers and Zoomers, to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Jolena Banez, and I am your worship associate today. Again, yay! I'm joined by Reverend Sian Wiltshire, our minister, and Chris Law, who is filling in as our director of musical ministries while Beth Iverson is on sabbatical. And we welcome you this morning. Karen Magoon Pearson, our director of religious education, is currently holding classes for our children at Estancia Park. We would also like to thank all of the wonderful volunteers who work behind the scenes who've made today's service possible. Yay. We also respectfully recognize that our church property rests on Ahachiman and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. Together we covenant that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we're committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our Roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, we would love for you to say hello in the chat. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you'll find it here. Later in the service, we'll have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to do so. Let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice. As we say our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Please rise in body and spirit and sing hymn 347, Gather the Spirit. Gather the Spirit, always above. All separate fires will get the flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Draw in this light, appear on the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, passion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of heart and mind, seed for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in faith.
So as you know, this is our annual kickoff of our pledge drive, and this morning I am inviting Django and Sabina, the grandchildren of Don and Sandy Martin, to open our service. As many of you may know, today we are launching this annual pledge drive, and these two enterprising youngsters, along with their wonderful grandparents who are running the pledge drive, remind us about some famous Unitarians and Universalists who helped create a better world and remind us about who we are.
Animation. Awesome! The pledge drive is coming! The pledge drive is coming!
The good must be extended to all of society before it can be held secure by any one person or class. Clara Barton helped wounded soldiers from both sides of the battlefields. I have no enemies.
We can survive, we can, we will, and so we sing.
Progress in civilization has been accompanied by progress in cookery.
He is the inventor of the World Wide Web. This is for everyone, giving all rights to posterity free.
Our upcoming pledge drive provides financial support to our church and continues the work of these UU forebears as we strive to implement our 7 Unitarian Universalist principles.
Trees may look like solitary individuals, but the ground beneath our feet tells a different story. Trees are secretly talking, trading, and waging war on one another. They do this using a network of fungi that grow around and inside their roots. The fungi provide the trees with nutrients, and in return they receive sugars. But scientists have found this connection runs far deeper than first thought. By plugging into the fungal network, trees can share resources with each other. The system has been nicknamed the Wood Wide Web. It's thought that older trees, fondly known as mother trees, use this fungal network to supply shaded seedlings with sugars, giving them a better chance of survival. Those trees that are sick or dying may dump their resources into the network, which might then be used by healthier neighbours. Plants also use fungi to send messages to one another. If they're attacked, they can release chemical signals through their roots, which can warn their neighbours to raise their defences. But like our internet, the Wood Wide Web has its dark side too. Some orchids hack the system to steal resources from nearby trees. And other species, like the black walnut, spread toxic chemicals through the network to sabotage their rivals. Arboreal cybercrime aside, scientists are still debating why plants seem to behave in such an altruistic way. The hidden network creates a thriving community between individuals. When you're next in woodland, you might like to think of trees as part of a big superorganism, chatting and swapping information and food under your feet.
So when I first saw this video, I contacted Sarah Kimball, who's one of our members, and she's a botany professor over at UCI. And I said, "Is this good science?" And she wrote back. She said, "Yes, this is good science." And then she said, "Ain't fungi cool?" That's my new catchphrase now. Ain't fungi cool? So while this video is good science, it's also a great analogy for human beings and how we are with one another. So this morning, I want to invite you into a spirit of meditation. Take some deep breaths, get settled, soften your eyes if you like. And I want you to consider this video. And where do you see the Wood Wide Web in your life? Where do you see this Wood Wide Web in your life? And as a metaphor, how do you see it in this church? Or how about in the great big world? And like the Wood Wide Web, we humanity are also a superorganism. We can and do often act altruistically, but we also have a dark side. So who do you think out there in the world are the coral root orchid stealing resources, or the black walnut sending toxins into the world? And ultimately, how do we humans act like mother trees and nurture seedlings? When you're ready, please join Chris in singing.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build our common
Give me liberty or give me death. Powerful words. Do you all know who said those? Anybody? We know the words. Patrick Henry, absolutely. Do you know why he said those words? Yeah, it's kind of hard to know. I didn't know this until I looked it up. He used those words to persuade the Virginia Conference to enter the Revolutionary War in 1775 against the British. They were actually not going to do it. It's considered one of the most brilliant speeches of all time, and it's a beautiful speech if you get a chance to read the whole thing. That's the last line of the speech. Now, since that time, or really even before that time, you want to go all the way back to the Puritans, right? Freedom or liberty has been at the heart of American ideals. And by that I mean ideals, right? Not necessarily how we've always been, but our ideals. In fact, it's in the preamble of our Constitution right there. It says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America." And freedom of speech, press, and religion got written into the very First Amendment. Patrick Henry didn't like our Constitution because it didn't have the rights of individual freedom of speech, press, and religion, which he really wanted in there. And later we added rights for women and people of all races. And we haven't always done this right perfectly, but freedom is what we strive for, and it's been a really high bar, right? But I also want to be clear that I think of that there's kind of two types of freedom. Or maybe there's a spectrum of freedom, but I think if there's two types, and I want to mention this because I see the word freedom often abused, okay? So one is a selfish kind of freedom. It's one that's solely sort of individualistic, that says, well, I get to do, say, or believe whatever I want, even often to your detriment, right? But there's a second kind of freedom, which is one which I believe our country was founded on. It's a freedom that recognizes our interdependence, that recognizes that we live in this diverse, beautiful world in relationship to one another. It's the kind of freedom that takes into account the community, the country as a whole. And these two ideals of freedom and interdependence must be linked in order for them to be healthy, I believe. Because I think that freedom without this recognition of interdependence is ultimately selfish, right? It's selfishness. And interdependence without freedom is coercion. Now, if you didn't know, these two ideals, freedom and interdependence, are the foundational pillars, actually, of Unitarian Universalism. This is a model that was created by a colleague of mine, Reverend Barbara Tenhove, and it's taught in a lot of our seminaries. The first and seventh principles are how we affirm our life. So our first principle, right, is the dignity and worth of all, and the seventh is the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Now you could say these are those two are sort of our founding theology in a sense. They are the ground on which we walk, and the other principles that we have are about how we agree to be with one another. So why am I telling you all of this and giving you a little theological history of Unitarian Universalism in the United States? Okay, well, it's because I've been finally figured out after just thinking about this all week long, thinking about why, and many others have been so obsessed with what's going on in Ukraine. Okay? We are devastated, we're frustrated, we're angry, and we feel like we want to do something. Anybody else out there with me on this? Yeah. I've been asking myself, why now? Right? Why are we upset about Ukraine when it was just in 2014 that Russia annexed Crimea, which I vaguely remember, which is just south of Ukraine, or when Russia invaded Georgia in 2008? What about Bosnia? All of those things. I don't even remember Georgia. I'm sorry, I don't know what I was doing in 2008, but I wasn't paying attention. And I've worried about things like Palestine and Syria and Afghanistan, and while I've been upset about them, I haven't been this obsessed with it, right? And I think, for me at least, I know at least in part why. Racism aside on some of this, but I think I know why, all right? And it has to do with this guy. And if you don't know who this is, as Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, you haven't been paying attention to the news. He is, quite frankly, an outstanding strategic orator. He is practically the embodiment of Patrick Henry. And he's all but said, give me liberty or give me death. And if you've listened to him, you know what I mean. I've listened to him every single day in all of his broadcasts. And for me, the reason, it's not so much actually him per se, as what he is saying and what he's asking of the world. For me, the reason why he's rallied so many of the West behind him is that he is standing as a mirror to the West, asking us to live up to our ideals, right? He's reminding us about who we are, to help him and his country be free. And he not only talks about freedom, not just for himself and his country, but he talks about the common freedom, the common good of all of Europe and the entire West. He knows that Russia will not stop with Ukraine. But he also knows that not only does Ukraine share common ideals with the West, but also that the European and indeed the world is interdependent with one another. And the Europe and the West are answering his call. Maybe not as much as he or even I might like, but never before has the West or Europe been so united. And it's not just political entities, right? It's businesses are boycotting and pulling out, right? Financial institutions are denying them access, right? We've got sports are pulling out. They're banning Russian players. Never before has the world been so united, and we're seeing the emergence of a new kind of weapon of mass destruction, in a sense, which is worldwide sanctions. And not only are there sanctions of an unprecedented scale, but there's a massive military and humanitarian assistance, including the rush to take in refugees. And now one wishes that this might also have been the assistance that would be for anyone in war against a totalitarian regime, including Syria. But racism aside, I credit Zelensky for reminding those of us in the West of our ideals and who we want to be as a nation and as a people. He's asking us to live up to our ideals. He's asking all of us to support and to protect freedom in the world, the right to choose your own leaders, the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. But he's also is asking us to recognize that we are one, right? We are one humanity. We are interdependent of one another economically, financially, culturally, linguistically. We're all connected. And it's hit me hard, not just because he's talking about Western or American ideals and values, but for me, they're deeply Unitarian Universalist values. So it's kind of no wonder this has really upset me and got me very obsessed. His words are calling out to the core of who I am and my highest ideals that I want to live up to. I joined this faith because of these ideals, the right for everyone to believe as they want to, but also to respect one another, to do it in community, to join together in community, right? We say many different beliefs, one loving community. That's our byline, right? Many different beliefs, one loving community. This is absolutely key to me about Unitarian Universalism. What about you? Is freedom and interdependence, are those important to you? Show of hands, anybody? Right on? Yeah. Now, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. There is no faith tradition like ours. There is none out there like ours. We are on the bleeding edge of religion, and we forget that sometimes. You know, we come in here on Sunday and we sing songs together and everything is really wonderful and we love it, but we forget that we are fighting every single Sunday for these ideals every time we come together. Every time we lift up how to be with one another, the dignity and worth of all, and our interdependence. We're building something new, never before seen in the world. And, you know, I always wonder, like, if we could just teach this to the world, we'll all be in a better place. It gives me hope for the rest of the world, that we can learn to be together in this beautiful diversity, in this freedom for all to be who they are. Because what is a world without freedom? Right? This is what actually Patrick Henry asked in his saying, what is a world without freedom? And many of us, whether you're a woman or a person of color, or someone who's been a minority in some shape or form, right? We know even just an inkling of what it's like to be held back from who you fully are. That sense you cannot be fully who you are, to be fully realized, whether you are gay, you're straight, you're transgender, whatever, that sense of being held back. That's just a small taste of what a world is like without freedom. It feels like A world without freedom is like a half-life. And we see that in totalitarian regimes around the world. That's why everybody's blaming Putin, not the Russians, right? Because we have sympathy for those Russians. They live in fear, constant fear, right? Unable to speak out. Anytime anyone lives in fear, no matter who they are, if they cannot speak their truth, that's a half-life. And yes, that does happen here in the US. We don't always live up to our best selves, but that's why we have to protect and fight for freedom in all of its forms. That's what we do. That's why we Unitarian Universalists, we try so hard to create a world of peace, liberty, and justice for all, right? That's our sixth principle, for everyone. Now, I don't have an answer for Ukraine, but I do know that I want more than ever to support organizations and nations that uphold these ideals, including Unitarian Universalism. And we might think of ourselves as this small church that care for one another, and we do. We're amazing. I love the way that everyone takes care of one another, and we do that a lot. We're also mighty. We're mighty here in Orange County. We're mighty because we fight for and protect these ideals of freedom and interdependence, freedom with interdependence. We know that freedom without interdependence is selfishness. We know that interdependence without freedom is coercion. You know, we did this, and we've done this so many different times in so many different ways. Here's just some examples of all of them, right? We did this when we came together to protect marriage equality, when we stand on corners to support Ukraine, when we're telling the world that we support freedom, when we support people with AIDS in our AIDS team ministry. We told the world that we support freedom for everyone to live their lives with dignity. When we take in refugee families, we tell the world that we support love. When we show our environmental film festival, we give people a future. When we support another through the tough times in our lives, whether it's surgeries and cancers and transitions and illness, celebrations of marriage or celebrations of life, we confirm our commitment to our interdependence to this community. Now, normally I get up here on Pledge Drive Sunday and I talk about how we support this church because we love it. We love this church, and I know that you all love it. We do it because we love the staff, and they need to get paid. I need to get, pay my rent, right? To keep the lights on, to make sure the internet and Zoom, accounts are active, all of those types of things, right? To support programs that bring people closer together. All of those things are great reasons to support and commit to this church. It's a wonderful, amazing, beautiful, and loving community that makes it worthy of your support. But I want to give you those two other reasons: freedom and interdependence. I believe in Unitarian Universalism because it is not a casual faith. It's easy to be casual when Ukraine and Europe are so far away, when Afghanistan and Palestine and Syria are so far away. It will rarely affect our day-to-day. Maybe we'll grumble about gas prices and the price of whatever. But Unitarian Universalism is not a casual faith because we protect and uphold freedom. It is the core of who we are. Sandy and Don Martin, our wonderful Pledge Drive team, have been putting out wonderful little tidbits about our history to remind us of who we are. That was what that video was, right in the beginning. These little tidbits of different people, famous Unitarians and Universalists who fought for freedom but understood our interdependence. And I think of people like the Reverend Theodore Parker, who kept a gun in his sermon writing desk to protect runaway slaves that he hid in his own home. Or there's Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who was a Unitarian laywoman who fought for women's right to vote. To Tim Berners-Lee, which you heard about, who created the World Wide Web that we now use daily to communicate freely around the world and be able to have people on Zoom as well. I also think of people like Viola Liuzzo and Reverend James Reeb, who were two Unitarians who were murdered at Selma fighting for civil rights. I think of Michael Servetus, the man who gave us the word Unitarian in the 16th century, who was killed for speaking the truth about the Bible. We are a denomination of freedom and of interdependence. We know that these two ideals belong together, and that's who we are. And today I ask you to make a commitment to this church, not just because you love it, though that's great, right? Not just because all your friends are here, because maybe you like my sermons, which I hope you do, but because each Sunday we hold up a mirror to remind ourselves about who we are, who we want to be, and that we will fight to protect our mutual interdependent freedom. The world needs us. Come, let us sing.
There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land when I'm gone. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land when I'm gone. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land when I'm gone. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land when I'm gone.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all the money for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are forever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing half the plate we received with an organization that shares our values. This month we are supporting Stand Up for Kids. There's something about it on the board. There's something about it online. But let me just say that the kids really need some help these days. We're loving people, but not everybody out there is loving to their kids. There's a whole lot of kids out there that have maybe never gotten the open hand and the love and the support that they'll actually get from this group. So be generous with them, please. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, you can use an app now called Vanco Mobile, or if you're a roomer, you can place your offering in a basket as you leave the service today. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website should you need it. It is this special time of year for our pledge drive, and here to tell you more about it is the lovely and talented and fabulous Sandy Martin, chair of this year's pledge drive.
Every time I stand up here, I want to cry looking out at all of you. It's very emotional. So the video that we saw at the beginning of the service that my grandkids created, Sabina and Django, it's a quick review of the information about the famous Unitarians and Universalists that we've been highlighting in the weekly blast, the monthly newsletter, The Reach, on Facebook, and in special blast announcements. I'm sure every one of you have read every word, right? I like to think about how these UUs have made a difference in our lives and in the world at large. We all continue to benefit from their accomplishments. These brief reminders of our UU legacy is our way of leading up to the pledge drive. This past week, you'll have received a pledge packet in the mail. If you haven't, see me, I have more. In the pledge packet is a brochure that contains information about our budget, expenses, and pledges. This year, for the pledge drive, several very generous members have offered to provide small group meals. These meals will be hosted in their homes the first weekend in April. You'll be treated to a delicious meal, and most likely they'll be using the cooking concepts of Fanny Farmer. The purpose of these meals is to gather in small groups. Many of us have been missing socializing during the pandemic, and to have the chance to ask questions that you may have about the pledge drive, and to make your pledge for the upcoming fiscal year, which starts July 1st. Our pledges is how we keep this church thriving. We can't do it without you. After the service today and for the next 2 Sundays, you can sign up for one of these brunches, lunches, or dinners right outside here at the table. I've already gotten a couple emails to sign up, and you can also, especially you Zoomers, if you want to, can contact me by email, text, or phone to get your name on a list. I believe Marilyn is putting my contact information in the chat right now. So come see us at the table outside, and remember to pledge.
This really special occasion, we as the choir, we have created a new song for you. It's called We Call, We Give, and it's disco 70s.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
We give to each other, we lift up one another.
And we're going to sing together or sway along with Chris, singing From You I Receive, to You I Give, which illustrates the theme of our drive.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
If you needed further proof that Unitarian Universalist churches are a little bit different, where else can you dance disco in a service than in a Unitarian Universalist church? Just saying. All right, now is that time when we honor important events and people in our lives. It's this weekly ritual that we call Joys and Sorrows. And you're invited to be a part of this, whether you're a member, a friend, or a visitor, a roomer, or a Zoomer, to participate. I'd like to invite, it says Birdie Reed up there, but actually Lori Kluge, who's been doing this for the last 4 weeks in a row, bless her heart. Let's all give her a round of applause. She's one of our pastoral care team members, and she'll be assisting us. So perhaps maybe you've been holding something close to your heart, like I have, about Ukraine, something that maybe it struck you at your core. If you'd like to honor such profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. And if you're a roomer, you're invited to come forward to light a candle to honor that. If you'd like to share your joy or sorrow with the community, you can write it on a slip of paper that the ushers can give you, or you were given when you first came in here, and you just simply hand it to me. Now, if you're a Zoomer, you're invited to write your joy or sorrow in the chat. Got my chat thing up here, and we will light a candle for you. So once the roomers are done lighting their candles, I'll read the joys and sorrows out loud as Lori lights a candle for the Zoomers. As music is played, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. Let me read from the Zoomers in the chat here first. So Ashley has a joy. She says, success on my final in MBA studies. So yay, congratulations, Ashley, for finishing her MBA. And then she also has a sorrow for the war in Ukraine. Matthew Patterson has both a joy and concern. He says He says, I'm so excited and scared and nervous about my gender-affirming top surgery this coming Tuesday. He says, thank you so much to everyone who has been so amazingly supportive to me and my husband Alex in this time. Prayers, thoughts in the upcoming couple of weeks of recovery are greatly appreciated. He says, I love you all. And Linda Clough sent me a message. She says, I am so grateful to have been released from Facebook prison. Right there with you. All right. Sarah Jones, she has a candle of gratitude. Sarah Jones is our administrator, if you didn't know. She said, 1 year ago, I was in the hospital fighting for my life. I am so grateful to be here now. So are we, Sarah. And Barbara Schilling has a candle of gratitude. She says, for my sister who has taken such good care of me during my first chemo week. Wonderful, Barbara. And Hannah Anderson, she says, a candle of thanks for this loving, supportive community, as well as a candle of love and protection for my new colleague who lost her partner and fought cancer over the last few months and is still bold, courageous, and kind. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm sorry she lost someone. Right, for here in the room, Dawn and Sandy Martin, they said they have a candle, they lit a candle of joy. She says, we traveled the world with wine and food with Peggy H. and Sarah H. as our guides, fun auction event. Right on. And Elizabeth Kay says she would like a candle of hope. She said that this was just what I needed. I was feeling rather pissy about minor tribulations in life and work. Today I was given a groovy reminder to be grateful for the positives in my life. Awesome. And Judith Stamper, she has a candle of joy for her husband Steve, who is recovering well from knee replacement surgery. Excellent. And Tatiana Hauser, she has lit, as you know, Tatiana is half Ukrainian, and she has a candle of hope. She says, for faith, strength, determination, lots of luck, and much help to Ukrainian heroes fighting for freedom. Amen. And Bonnie Wagner has a candle of joy for two people that were born in this coming week. One is Tom Lockery, who most of us here know. He was born on March 24th. He and Nancy, I'm not going to say the year, Bonnie, just so you know. He and Nancy are now traveling to South America. As many of you know, they're going to the Galapagos and Machu Picchu. But also, she also lights a candle for Robert Parker Lockery, known as Bob Lockery, who's Tom's father. He was born on March 28th, and he died a few years ago in 2018. He was Tom's father, and he was, of course, Bonnie's great love. So let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. Please join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. It's a poem by Alberto Rios. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big, though small, diamond in the wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is first and every time, hand in hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, I gave you yellow, together we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give, and together we made something greater from the difference. Amen.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for joining us this morning. We're a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet when we gather together, whether we're in the room or we're on Zoom, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who has not yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. We encourage you to either write in the chat or stand for a brief moment and tell us your name and where you're from, and we'll bring a microphone over and we'll hold it for you so that our Zoomers can also hear who you are and see you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nancy Rodriguez, and I live here in Irvine. And I just want to thank you for being so welcoming. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Welcome.
Cool. All right. If you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth or children, please contact us at, now this is tricky, hello@ocuuc.org. And we'll help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast that we talked about a second ago at blast@ocuuc.org. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community, so please reach out and we will help you get connected. After the service, we will have a short period where everyone, roomers and Zoomers alike, can wave and say hello and welcome any visitors. By the way, did we have any chat visitors? Okay, thank you. Thanks. The Zoomers who remain will be placed into Zoom breakout rooms for about 20 minutes. And we invite you to check in and get to know the people in your group.
All right, announcements, of course. You can see there's a lot of things going on. I just want to take a moment also that on behalf of Tatiana and myself to just say thank you for everybody who came to the rally last Sunday for Ukraine, standing out on the corner over there. We had about 75, 80 people all over came. There were people there I didn't know. I asked, how did you hear about it? They said Facebook or the internet or something. So thank you for everybody who got the word out. I think we'll be doing this again. Don't think the war in Ukraine is going to end anytime soon, unfortunately. So I just want to say that. So there's a couple other things I want to make sure. So just a reminder also to sign up for attending one of our small groups where we'll be talking also about, why do you support this church and all of the wonderful things that go into it. So sign up for a pledge drive luncheon or meal there. It's out on the patio out here. Let's see here. I also want to notice that so next Sunday we have a newcomer orientation and sort of meet the minister lunch. So if you have questions for me or anything, we can do this hybrid as well. So we'll be in the Victoria room, but we need you to RSVP at hello@ocuuc.org. And so we'll just, whether or not you need internet access, if you're a Zoomer and you'd like to come to this, we'd love to have you as well, online or in person. So sign up for that or send an email out to hello@ocuuc.org. If you have any questions, you can see me. And where's Linda? Linda's over there as well. So she's one of the chairs, and Nina is the other chair of our membership committee. So if you want to see them, they're the hello people. So the other thing I want to mention, there's a couple of things, ways that you can support people. Right now, Matthew Patterson, as he mentioned in Joys and Sorrows, he's having his gender-affirming top surgery on Wednesday. And we've got this new thing that we're using now as a church. It's called Meal Train, which is really great. He's asking support for he and his husband for meals. And so you can sign up online for a meal using Meal Train. And if you need to know what that is, send me an email and I'll send you a link. It was in the blast. It just was kind of buried all the way down at the bottom of the blast. So please go on there and sign up to support Matthew and his husband Alex for the surgery that is on Wednesday. So we need people to do it soon. We've got giving them support for a couple of weeks of meals. The nice thing is, like, I'm not really a cook, right? So you can sign up and give a Grubhub gift certificate, right? It's like awesome, then they can just choose whatever they want. So that's another great thing. So if you have the means, I invite you to please go out to Meal Train. Send me an email if you don't know it. Look in the blast. And Marilyn should be putting that link also in the chat so people online can also do that. So there you go. And then the second thing I want to point out to you all is that our beloved Beth Syverson, Director of Music Ministries, is coming back from her 10-week sabbatical next Sunday. And we've had this wonderful, amazing man over here, Chris Law, with us. I want you to know how much the choir has really loved you. They've told me this. Yes, they totally love you. So, and I know we're also looking forward to seeing, but Chris has a CD. It's called Legacy, and it's a beautiful CD that he was created, I believe, to honor your late voice teacher, the award-winning Brian Asawa, back in 2016, and he also used it to process some of his grief with his mother. And he was going to do a tour in 2020, but we all know what happened then. So please support Chris. He's got his CDs for sale outside as well, and there's also a link inside as well. So there you go. So all right, I think that's all of it. You can see there's all sorts of things going on, and so we just encourage people to get involved, reach out, hello@ocuuc.org, and we will help get you involved. All right, let us join in singing.
Let us go down and all do our part. Let us go down, bring joy to each heart. Let us go down with indifference joy. Let's just go with joy. Let us go down and all do our part. Let us go down, bring joy to each heart. Let us go down with indifference joy. Let us go with joy.
The pledge drive is coming, and ain't fungi cool? All right, this service is over. Let our service continue.